March 1964. Inside Paramount Studios, the most powerful men in Hollywood are gathering for what should be a routine awards ceremony. Crystal chandeliers, expensive suits, the smell of whiskey and leather. But in the next 20 minutes, something is going to happen that will change how every person in that room thinks about power, skill, and what it truly means to be a master. In one corner, Glenn Ford is showing off. And I mean really showing off. He's surrounded by directors, producers, some of the biggest names in the business. And he's demonstrating his lightning-fast gun draw. 0.4 seconds. That's competition-level speed. The crowd is eating it up. 30 feet away, sitting alone at the bar, John Wayne is watching. Not saying a word. Just watching. And if you know anything about the Duke, you know that when John Wayne is quiet, something's about to happen. Now, before I tell you what happens next, quick question for you. Have you ever been really good at something? I mean genuinely skilled? Only to watch someone else show you a completely different level of mastery that you didn't even know existed? Drop your answer in the comments, because that's exactly what's about to happen here. And if you want more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Because we're diving deep into the moments that reveal who John Wayne really was. So let me set this up properly, because you need to understand what's at stake here. Glenn Ford in 1964 is not some rookie. This is a man with 25 years in Hollywood. Gilda, The Big Heat, 3:10 to Yuma. He's a legitimate star, and for the past 8 years, he's been obsessed with fast draw technique. He's worked with Arvo Ojala, the same legendary instructor who trained Hugh O'Brien for the Wyatt Earp series. Ford has put in thousands of hours perfecting his draw. Thousands. This isn't a hobby for him. It's a point of pride. John Wayne is 57, 35 years in the film industry, over 60 westerns. But here's the thing that matters. Wayne isn't just an actor who plays cowboys. In the minds of millions of Americans, he is the cowboy, the living embodiment of everything the West represents. And tonight, that's going to mean something. Ford is holding court, breaking down the mechanics of the fast draw for his audience. He's explaining grip technique, muscle memory, trigger discipline. The man knows his stuff. He's talking about Wild Bill Hickok, Wyatt Earp, Bat Masterson, all the legendary gunfighters. And his central argument is simple. Speed is everything. The fastest gun wins. That's historical fact. He demonstrates his draw. 0.4 seconds. The crowd applauds. Ford is in his element. And that's when he makes his mistake. He walks over to John Wayne and asks him what he thinks. Now watch what Wayne does here, because this is masterclass level communication. He doesn't get defensive, doesn't dismiss Ford's skill. He takes a sip of his whiskey and says, quote, "Impressive, Glenn. You've put in the work." He acknowledges the skill, shows respect. Then he just waits. Ford, feeling confident, pushes further. He mentions that he's fast enough to have been a real gunfighter in the Old West. Wayne nods, says Ford might be right about that. Still not taking the bait. Still waiting. Then Ford asks the question that changes everything. "What about you, Duke? How fast is your draw?" Wayne's response, "Can't say I have." Ford is confused. "You've never timed your draw? With all the westerns you've made, all the gunfight scenes, you've never wanted to know how fast you are?" Wayne's answer is so simple, it's almost overlooked. Never seemed important. Now Ford thinks he's got him. But speed is everything in a gunfight. The fastest gun wins. That's historical fact. Wayne sets down his whiskey glass, looks directly at Ford, and asks one word. "Is it?" The room starts to pay attention. People sense something happening. This isn't just casual conversation anymore. Ford doubles down. Absolutely. All the famous gunfighters survived because they were faster than their opponents. Wayne stands up, full height, 6'4". But it's not the size that commands the room. It's something else. Something you can't measure with a stopwatch. Then he asks Ford a question that seems simple, but is actually devastating. In all your research about famous gunfighters, did you ever come across any who missed their target? Ford frowns. He doesn't see where this is going. Miss? What do you mean? Wayne explains. Did any of these fast-draw artists ever lose a gunfight because they drew quick but shot wide? The crowd is completely focused now. Ford admits that, yes, some of them missed under pressure. And that's when Wayne drops the hammer. The fastest gun doesn't always win. The most accurate gun wins. Speed without accuracy is just movement. Dangerous movement. But Wayne isn't done. He's just getting started. He asks Ford another question. What's the most important part of any gunfight? Ford gives the obvious answer. Drawing fast. Wrong. Wayne asks again. Before that. Ford looks confused. He doesn't understand the question. And this is the moment. This is where Wayne reveals a level of understanding that Ford never even considered. The most important part of any gunfight is not being in one. Let that sink in for a second. The most important part of any gunfight is not being in one, Wayne continues, and his words carry the weight of every hero he's ever portrayed. Real gunfighters, the ones who lived long enough to become legends, they didn't look for fights. They avoided them when possible. And when they couldn't avoid them, they didn't rely on speed. They relied on being right. The room is dead silent now. Wayne keeps going. Wild Bill Hickok didn't survive because he was fast. He survived because he was careful. Wyatt Earp didn't win at the OK Corral because he outdrew the cowboys. He won because he was fighting for law and order, against men fighting for chaos. The righteousness of his cause steadied his hand. Then he delivers the philosophy that separates technique from mastery. Speed is a technique, Glenn. Accuracy is a discipline. But both of those are just tools. What matters is the man using them. His character, his judgment, his willingness to use force only when it serves justice. Ford is beginning to understand that he's being schooled, not in technique, in philosophy. Wayne walks over to the demonstration area. The crowd follows. You want to know why I never timed my draw? Ford nods. Because the speed of your draw doesn't matter if you don't know when to draw. And you don't know when to draw unless you understand what's worth fighting for. Wayne's voice fills the room. Every gunfight scene I've ever done, every Western I've ever made, it's not about how fast I can pull a gun. It's about why I'm pulling it. To protect the innocent. To uphold the law. To defend what's right against what's wrong. The gun is just a tool. The man behind it, his principles, his courage, his willingness to sacrifice for others, that's what wins or loses the fight. There's a long silence. Then Ford asks if Wayne would be willing to demonstrate his draw. Wayne agrees. Ford hands him the gun belt. Wayne straps it on with the casual familiarity of a man who's worn guns in dozens of films. But something is different. This isn't an actor putting on a costume. This is John Wayne accepting the weight of responsibility that comes with carrying a weapon. Director George Stevens still has his stopwatch ready. But Wayne doesn't assume a gunfighter's stance, doesn't position his feet shoulder-width apart, doesn't hover his hand above the grip. He just stands there, natural, relaxed, looking at an imaginary opponent. Stevens calls out, "Now!" Wayne's movement is completely different from Ford's lightning-quick draw. It's smooth, deliberate, controlled. The gun comes out like it's being drawn by gravity rather than speed. He brings it to chest level, aims down the barrel, holds the position steady as a rock. Stevens checks his stopwatch. 0.8 seconds. Twice as slow as Ford's best time. But nobody in the room is thinking about speed. They're looking at Wayne's stance, his control, the unwavering steadiness of his aim. If this were a real gunfight, Ford might have cleared leather first, but Wayne would have hit his target. Wayne hands the belt back to Ford. "Thank you." Ford takes it with newfound respect. "Duke, I think I understand what you're saying." Wayne nods. "Speed is impressive, Glenn, but accuracy is deadly. And character is what determines whether that deadliness serves justice or feeds chaos." The rest of the evening, Ford doesn't demonstrate his quick draw again. Instead, he engages Wayne in conversation about the responsibility that comes with portraying gunfighters on screen. Years later, Ford tells interviewers about that night. "I was proud of how fast I could draw a gun. Duke showed me that the question isn't how fast you can draw. The question is whether you should draw at all." Here's what makes this story so powerful. Two accomplished actors demonstrated two different approaches to their craft. Ford showed technical proficiency. Wayne showed moral authority. Ford had perfected a skill. Wayne had mastered a philosophy. The lesson extends far beyond gunfights or Western movies. It's about the difference between having power and knowing how to use it responsibly. It's about understanding that real strength isn't about how quickly you can act. It's about knowing when action serves justice and when restraint serves wisdom. In a business built on image and performance, Wayne consistently demonstrated that authenticity matters more than technique. That moral authority trumps technical ability. That character, not capability, is what separates heroes from mere gunfighters. So here's my question for you. Where in your life have you confused speed with mastery? Where have you focused on technique when you should have been building character? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit that subscribe button because we're exploring the moments that shaped the Duke and the lessons they hold for us today. Real power isn't about how fast you can draw. It's about knowing when to draw at all.